And we always talk about studio monitors, and studio monitors are a very important thing that you need to have in your studio, especially if you're mixing for voiceover. And we're talking with Ted Keffalo from Equator Monitors.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, very good. What is it that makes a studio monitor, especially yours, so important for someone that is recording specifically voiceover?
Well, you need to hear all the details, and there are monitors that have been developed that enable you to hear the details, and then some monitors, they get a little foggy. Most of the information that happens in the mid-range. There were two design goals. After building monitors for decades, I can tell you that the goal was to clear up the mid-range, because that's where a lot of the confusion and information really needs to reside. So we really needed to clear that up, and the main way to clear that up is with two design goals. First, we needed to make them phase and time coherent. There's only one way to do that, and the only way to do that is to have the high frequency driver mounted in the low frequency driver. If you look at the speakers, you'll see that the tweeter's right in the center. That's because nature says full bandwidth, all directions, radiates in all directions. That's the nature of things. When you have a crossover with a woofer and a tweeter mounted above it, you have an area where both components are reproducing the same frequencies, and when both components are producing the same frequencies from two different locations, you have these phase collisions, and it makes the mid-range distorted. The second design goal, and I can tell you this with absolute certainty, in my years upon years of making speakers, I guarantee you with absolute certainty that no two speakers have ever, not once, come off an assembly line alike. It doesn't happen. Here's the process. A speaker manufacturer builds a speaker, and at the end of the assembly line, they sweep it, and they say, okay, let's apply a tolerance. Here's flat. And then when they sweep it, if the peaks and the dips are plus or minus 3 dB or greater, they throw that speaker away. If it's less than plus or minus 3 dB, it goes into production. Okay, that can be a problem, because if you have on your right side a speaker with a peak that's just under 3 dB at 1K, and on your left side you have a dip at 1K of just under 3 dB, your imaging could be all over the place. At 1K, you don't know where it's at. So what we do is, yes, we throw away anything over 3 dB, but we have internal DSP that allows us to match the speakers perfectly. I took the prototypes up to Hollywood, spent time with mastering engineers, with Gerhard Yost, who worked with Missy Elliott and Timbaland at Grooveworks, and he won an Emmy for Deal or No Deal. I spent time with him tweaking. With our development system, access to the DSP, and with Elton Ahi, who does big orchestrations, did Mummy movies, been nominated for Academy Awards, with Francis Buckley, who who won a Grammy for Best Recorded Record with Quincy Jones, and with Chris Bellman, who works at Grumman, been involved with just a whole host of Grammys. These guys, they mix for a living, and they were able to actually apply the voicing, the final voicing, to the speakers. Those very prototypes that we took out of Grumman that we did the last mastering with, those went to China. And when we build, it's build day in China for Equator, the first thing that happens is we take one of those golden reference units, it goes into a little chamber at the end of the line. Our system that we developed is a $14,000 development system that captures all of the intricacies of that particular monitor. We sweep it, the computer captures all that information. Then when a new production unit comes down the line, the last step is it goes into that chamber, we sweep it, and the system evaluates what that one looks like compared to what our golden one looks like, and it calculates the differences and then feeds in through the data port on the back the coefficients, and then the final step after the coefficients are fed into the speaker, it sweeps it again, and the system literally traces our golden unit, and if it falls off our golden unit by an eighth of a dB, by 8/10ths of a dB, then it fails the test. And that's our matching process, and that's proprietary to us. And what that does for the user is that gives the user a rock-solid image so that he knows when he's listening to something, he can feel assured that what he's listening to is very accurately represented.
And every unit is consistent.
They're all the same. And that's what makes us different than everyone else. Now, the other thing that makes us different is we primarily have a direct-to-consumer sales model. And I did this, I was with Event and Alesis for many years, so I had a lot of friends in the industry. But I took the prototypes of the small D5s, I took those prototypes to all my friends, and everyone was blown away. They really liked them. I said, well, will you sell them? Yeah, we'll sell them. Well, tell me how you sell them. Well, they'll sell them for like $1,300 a pair. They'll go next to the high-end monitors, the Dyne Audios, and we'll sell a lot of them, and they'll go next to the Genelecs, etc. And you'll stock them? Well, no. In 2011, retailers weren't stocking anything. They were going to be special orders because everyone was reeling from the recession. As I was driving back to San Diego, we're in San Diego, from West LA Music, I thought, you know what? All the retailers have sent all the users really to the web. They said Amazon was growing exponentially. I thought, hey, I'll put together an online store, an Amazon store, an eBay store. I'll cut out the 30% that a distributor gets, the 10% a rep gets, the 50% a retailer gets, and I'll make the pricing very compelling. These things are $500 a pair. And, you know, I had Steve Churchyard in here, who did Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, and he told me that he did the last record he did entirely on D5s at a low volume. And one of the first guys to buy these things was the executive video editor from Futurama, if you remember Futurama, Paul Calder. And he bought them, and then I started, other ones started popping up on the Fox lot, and I called Paul and said, Paul, what do you like about my speakers? He goes, oh, I love the D5s. I can hear when there's an edit, I can hear if it's clean. I can hear if it's a click or a pop or the dialogue just stands out. I can really hear things really well. So I know that the pro market really has gravitated towards these speakers, and we've priced them undeniable. At $500 a pair, there's nothing that compares with them. The bigger ones, the 8-inch ones, which went through the exact same process that I just explained. These are $750 a pair.
Oh, that's very reasonable pricing for these. What's the company again?
EquatorAudio.com. You can get us there.